You know, every once in a while, something happens in the crypto world that makes even the quiet people sit up straight. And this week, yep, this is one of those moments. Because if you've been watching closely, really watching, you probably felt that shift in the air. Ripple just stepped into Africa's largest market, and whether people want to admit it or not, that changes the whole game. Let me explain why. But first, let me start with the part nobody talks about. See, most people look at crypto like it's some flashy lottery ticket, something that goes up, something that goes down, something you brag about or complain about online. But the real players, the ones who actually understand money, liquidity, cross-border flows, they know something different. They know that infrastructure is where the real power is. And that's why this partnership matters. Not because it sounds cool, not because it's trending on Twitter, but because Ripple just gained access to a market of over 200 million people in one of the most strategically important economies on the continent. And if you're paying attention, that should make you pause for a second. The hook. Why Africa changes everything. Let me tell you something that most crypto YouTubers won't say. See, Africa isn't the future. Africa is the present that the rest of the world has been sleeping on. A young population, fast-growing fintech adoption, mobile payments everywhere, and a massive need for cheaper, faster, cross-border transfers. You know what XRP was built for, right? Speed, liquidity, bridges between markets. Exactly what Africa has been demanding for years. So when Ripple announces that XRP payments are now entering Africa's largest market, it isn't just good news. It's a roadmap to where global finance is actually heading. And if you're someone who wants to get ahead, you don't ignore that. You study it, you understand it, and you adjust. The deeper issue. Money moves different in Africa. Let me tell you something personal. The first time I ever saw how fast money moves in Africa, I was shocked. People there make payments on their phones faster than most people swipe a debit card in Europe. But the moment they try to send money across borders, everything slows down. Fees explode. Transfers take days. It's like hitting a financial wall. So when Ripple steps in and says, hey, we can move value across continents in seconds, Africa doesn't just listen, Africa needs that. And that's why this partnership isn't some random headline. It's a piece of a bigger puzzle, one that's been building for years.
So what does this partnership really mean? Let me break it down in a way that actually makes sense. 1. Faster payments. We're talking seconds, not days. Africa's biggest businesses, gig workers, exporters, and families sending remittances, this changes their reality. 2. Lower fees. Anyone who has ever sent money into Africa knows the pain. Sometimes you lose 10%, 12%, even 15% in fees. XRP cuts that dramatically. 3. Improved liquidity for businesses. This part, this is where most people don't pay attention. Liquidity is everything. If a business doesn't have to wait days for payments to clear, they can scale faster. 4. More trust in crypto infrastructure. Once a country sees real-world benefits, adoption snowballs. 5. Ripple positioning itself as a global settlement layer. This is the chess move, not hype, not speculation, but infrastructure. And honestly, I want you to think about something. If Ripple has been quietly building corridors in Asia, the Middle East, Europe, Latin America, and now taps into Africa's biggest market, what does that tell you about their long-term strategy? It tells you this isn't an accident. It's a blueprint. People underestimate Africa because they don't understand it. Let me keep it real with you. Most investors are trapped in a Western mindset. They only look at the US, they only watch Europe, they only care about what the Fed does next. But the future of payments? It's not going to be decided only in New York or London. It's going to be decided in places where millions of people leapfrog old financial systems and adopt digital payments overnight. Africa is one of those places, and Ripple knows that. They're not playing checkers. They're not chasing hype. They're building corridors for the next decade.
What XRP holders should really understand. Now listen, I'm not here to give you financial advice. I'm not here to tell you what to buy or sell. I'm here to help you understand the bigger picture so you make smarter decisions. Because here's the truth. Most people who hold XRP don't even understand what it's capable of. They focus on price, they focus on charts, they focus on when moon. But the smart ones? They're watching adoption, infrastructure, partnerships, corridors, regulation, liquidity expansions. That's the stuff that moves price long term. That's the stuff that changes the entire narrative. And trust me, Africa's largest market is not a small narrative. A market of 200 million people enters the chat. Every major fintech company in the world wants access to this market. Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, Stripe, everyone. And Ripple? They walk straight in with a partner ready to deploy real utility, not hype. This creates more liquidity, more volume, more real-world demand for fast settlement, more corridors opened, more institutional trust, more regulatory awareness. And the more corridors Ripple builds, the more valuable the network becomes. You can't fake that. You can't replicate that overnight. You can't replace the years they spent building this infrastructure. Let's talk about the psychology for a moment. A lot of people underestimate psychology in markets, because here's what happens next. When a big economy adopts a technology, surrounding countries watch. If it works, they don't hesitate. They follow. No country wants to be left behind in digital payments. Ripple knows this. It's like planting a seed in the biggest soil patch and letting the roots spread naturally across the region. Once the first corridor succeeds, the second, third, fifth, 10th, it becomes a domino effect. And once an entire region starts using one settlement layer, it becomes very hard to compete with. This is how global financial networks are built. Not by hype, not by price pumps, but by usefulness. The real game, global payment rails. Let's zoom out for a second, because this is the part people always overlook. Ripple doesn't want to be a coin you trade. Ripple wants to be the rails that value moves on, the plumbing, the infrastructure, the invisible backbone of cross-border commerce. That's where the trillion-dollar opportunities live. When you become the infrastructure, you don't fight for hype. You let the world depend on you. And Africa is a massive step in that direction. So, what should you take from all this? Let me simplify it. Ripple's not slowing down. XRP is quietly entering major global markets. Africa's largest economy opens a huge door. Real payment problems are being solved, liquidity corridors are expanding, adoption is increasing where it actually matters. The world is shifting, even if the price hasn't caught up yet. And listen, this is the part I want you to really remember. Price doesn't move first. Infrastructure moves first. Price follows later. That's how every major technological shift has worked. Final advice. If you're watching crypto like a gambler, you'll miss the entire story. But if you study what's actually happening under the surface, if you look at the partnerships, the corridors, the real-world adoption, you're going to see Ripple's strategy unfolding piece by piece. Africa's largest market joining the ecosystem, that's not noise. That's not hype. That's a signal. A big one. And if you're smart, you won't ignore it. You'll learn from it,
You'll stay patient, you'll watch the moves being made, not the price you see today, because sometimes the biggest shifts begin quietly. And this one, yeah, this is one of them.